Hi, Professor. It's Chicago, and I thought I would start off by doing this video because it just seemed easier. And you asked a whole bunch of questions, and I could write pages and pages and pages on each one of those topics. So, something interesting happened to me on arrival here, and so, a little bit of my backstory, and so I've just been so overwhelmed with everything that's been going on, um, trying to download all the sensory information, trying to deal with opening bank accounts and getting set up and getting money to drop and the whole nine yards. So one of the things that I did was I had heard that students or whomever could go to these centers and donate plasma. So I went to one of them out in Longmont and donated plasma, and because I needed the money because my student loans hadn't hit the whole nine yards, and so went through the whole process. And my initial reaction was to lie about being in prison on the interview and on the questionnaire. Went through the entire process, donated plasma, everything went smoothly. They gave me a bank card, had $70, and I could go buy groceries. And so subsequently, I was already looking towards the $650 that I would make for that month by donating twice a week. So the next time that I went, so by when we had class, I'd already donated once, and I was going Saturday, which was the next day. When I went Saturday, I was already spending the money. It was going to be another $100. And so when I got there, I had forgotten to bring proof of address with me. And so when she asked me about my address, I let it slip that I had just been in prison, gotten out in 2 weeks, and she's like, "Well, if you've been in prison, you can't donate plasma." And so they immediately booted me out, and instantaneously my karma just went into the toilet. So I was walking out of the center, and a buddy of mine had just finished sending me a text saying he wasn't able to visit this month or next month, and instead was going to come in the spring. And instantaneously, I was uncomfortable. And the reason I was uncomfortable was because my meditation practice and my spiritual practice of being a Buddhist and taking bodhisattva vows was in other words, a very contemplative practice. My morality is high, easy to do in prison when you've established those kind of mindful practices and meditation for so long. That I instantaneously felt uncomfortable, kind of like the 12 steps. When you get to step 10, it's kind of a relieves you of the wreckage of your present. And so when you make a mistake, you can immediately go make amends. With my meditative mindfulness practice, I immediately felt the negative effects, and I was not myself. My default mode was off. And what I had to come to realize with my mindfulness practice was that because I was so overwhelmed, that I was vulnerable, and my ego let it slip through of greed and anger and foolishness. And so the greed took over, and it was very easy because I was in a vulnerable state. So for me, I have a way to correct that behavior. I sit. This is my altar behind me, and so I immediately came and grabbed one of my books, which allows me to reciting the names of the 35 Buddhas and the seven medicine Buddhas, um, allows me to recalibrate my karma, um, and um, and work on the regret of making mistakes. And so some reconciliation practices involved in that. So for me, I wanted to do that immediately as soon as I got home. I grabbed the book and I was like, let me go over to the Shambhala Center that I had just discovered a couple of weeks ago. And when I went over there, the center was closed for the weekend. Um, and so I was like, okay. So I stopped and I looked at the bulletin board, and lo and behold, on the bulletin board was a conference retreat for not this weekend, but the following weekend for reestablishing your bodhisattva vows. So it was like, and here's the kicker, the price for the student was $70, the same amount that I got from donating plasma. And I'm like, okay. So when you establish a mindfulness meditation practice and you're so in tune with yourself, there is a default mode that we get into, and it's a comfort zone. And so when we're out of that comfort zone, mindfulness allows me to know exactly what's going on, how did this happen, and ask those questions why. So as a counselor, that's what I want to be able to do, is not share so much my experience with them because that's outside of the guidelines, but get the patient to a place where they have a contemplative practice, or whatever that may be, with their God, their reliance, or their higher power, whatever they choose to call their spiritual practice, so that they can get into a default mode so that they know when they're off, and then they can come back into that comfort zone. I think that's the most important thing that I do with my class in prison when I was teaching it. Um, and so that's that was pretty amazing. And so yesterday I went back when they were open and explained to them what was going on in my story. And she was like, "I want to hear everything," because when I share bits and pieces of it, people want to hear the whole story, which is awesome, and it makes my heart warm and lets me know I'm on the right path and where I'm supposed to be is correct. Um, and so she said, "Well, I can give you a discount on the fee because of who you are." And I said, "No, no, no. I need to pay the $70 to match the karma." And so that's what I did. And then instantaneously, my joy and my cheerfulness came back because I knew that I was doing the right thing. So getting back to a couple of questions that you had asked in class that I already had the answer to, and something that I wanted to share. So each morning I have a contemplative practice. I wake up early, 3 o'clock, wash, shave, do my exercises, a little bit of yoga, and then sit down at 4 for a meditation session, whether I'm writing or I'm praying or I'm listening or just meditating. And then I'm out the door at 5. However, one of the practices that I teach in my class, in my stress reduction class, that you asked about was um, you asked a very important question. Who are we at heart? And I already know who that is because one of the exercises that I share with my guys is we have them actually, and hopefully you can see that, but it is, I'm not sure about this camera, so I'm new at this technology kind of thing. So it is a practice in which you um, first puzzle piece in a bubble, which is your ego, and it's emptying, it's always emptying out. Um, and all of the dynamics of your ego and what's going on. And then I do a puzzle piece of a smiley face, and that smiley face is up on the wall and it says Bodhisattva. But every time that I do the puzzle piece exercise with um, the guys, it's a simple meditation. Inhale, I am, and exhale, listen for the answer. And every single time, my answer is always teacher. So then I get them to get to a place where they can start puzzle piecing in their heart what their true nature is at heart. And so I already know who I am. And so the center of my heart, around the center, it says healthy, able, successful career of helping others. And in the center, it is simply a smiley face with others. That's who I am. I'm an other centered person at heart. So, what brings me joy? Your last question: waking up in the morning and smiling, and then smiling at the end of the day. But then in between, seeing how many other people I can make smile during my day. That's my path. That's who I am. That's why I'm here. And so today I went to the 7:30 meditation hour over at Shambhala, and I met a gentleman named Frederick, and I'm probably going to go this weekend up to the center in Fort Collins or the Shambhala Retreat Center that's tied to Naropa, and help them take tents down. So, yeah, so when the universe opens the door, you listen, and then don't not listen to the universe and your heart, and then that's what I want to try and employ to my my patients, my friends, my family, and anyone who comes in contact with me. So that's my quick story and this reflection exercise. And thank you, and have a great day.